Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Maggie Mutesi and this is Real Talk. Now we'll get into the conversation to talk about agriculture and how young people can be the drivers of transformation in this particular sector. And joining me, I have Clarisse Molekatete, who is an agripreneur. Thank you so much, Clarisse, for joining us, and Courtney Paisley. Thanks, Courtney. So I understand that you're doing a lot of work as YPARD, especially in connecting the agripreneurs across the globe. But maybe we could just get an idea of exactly what happens.
Sure. So YPARD is Young Professionals for Agricultural Development, and we're a global youth network supporting young people in the agricultural sector. We're supporting them across the world. So we have a very strong base in Africa, but the idea is to connect young people within Africa to other countries, to other continents, to be able to exchange ideas and information. We have about 15,000 members registered worldwide, but we reach a lot more on social media and on the ground as well. And the idea is that people can register for YPARD. We give information, funding opportunities, and it's really a place where young people in agriculture can come together, where it's an inclusive space, where they can come together, get information, exchange ideas, not only just producers or agripreneurs, but also researchers and communicators as well. So to really get that exchange of ideas across disciplines from young people within Rwanda and around the world.
Now, this conversation of agriculture has been going on for a long time now. It's different summits, different years, but back to back. And everyone is counting on the youth as the drivers of transformation in this. So now I understand you've done this for a long time as YPARD, but I'd just love to hear from your experience as the organization and you. Do you think these young people actually have the power to drive the transformation in this particular sector?
I mean, I agree that it's a tall order. I mean, agriculture is a very complex sector. But I think absolutely. I think the way that things are changing, the conversation has changed a lot. YPARD has been around 10 years. And from when I began, very little people were talking about really trying to engage young people in the sector. But from around the world, people are really concerned. They're really concerned of who is our future farmer, who are the people that are going to bring this forward, and who are the people that are going to change the game, really, from, when we look at the idea of subsistence agriculture to a really a very exciting, a very technological-driven, high productivity, but not only high productivity, something that provides nutrition, something that provides culture, really putting the culture back in agriculture. And I think today's youth really see the potential now. When we look at agriculture, we know it's not only subsistence, but we know that it's so much bigger. There's so many more opportunities. There's so much potential there. And I think young people are now starting to really see what that potential actually is.
Great. We're joined by a young person, so we could probably hear from her. Clarisse, the statistics are quite very low, especially when it comes to involvement of young people in agriculture. How exciting has it been for you?
Thank you. It's been really exciting because I myself, I have a background of construction management, but I find I'm passionate about agriculture because it includes many people from different academic diversity into this sector. Like me, I'm so passionate about baking. That's why I found a way to link agriculture into my passion, and then started to bake products made out of sweet potatoes. And not only that, in Rwanda, many of farmers are old people. They are almost them are even beyond 50 years old. So agriculture needs to introduce young people in this field so that it doesn't fade away with those old people. We need to get trained from them. They need to share with us their experience so that we be able to modernize agriculture in a better way using their experience and our smarter way through technology to make agriculture more cool.
Have you been able to get training in this?
Yes, I've been able to be trained not only in agriculture like in a whole, but especially in capacity building and also technical assistance. Like what I do, I need to be more professional in baking and so on. So I've been trained by different, not only them, but also we've been exchanging exchanging experiences. Like I've been able to talk to different farmers, like in Mohanga. There's an association of young women association of Christians that we've been able to interact with, and they've been able to give me some of their experiences, and I've been able to share with them.
How old is Carl Group?
Carl Group have been registered in late 2014, so
I understand you haven't rolled out to start processing.
Yeah.
So you've been in the process since 2014?
No. We've been doing some market research from last year. We've been producing different sweet potato products, 5 different varieties: donuts, cakes, biscuits, and breads, and also crisps. So we wanted to first see the market feedback, what they really like about our products, and so that we be able to focus on only one product that we will be able to shoot in next month, which will be only sweet potato breads.
Based on what she just said in regards to market research, because you can clearly see about 2 years of doing research for an ordinary farmer somewhere deep in the village, it seems like I'll just produce for my children to eat the food, even if I produce in much rather in big quantities. Do you think there is a gap in terms of access to information and research, especially for the local farmers? Let's forget about Clarissa because she's about 1% of the farmers living in the city, so she's so lucky. But let's go back to the villages where they even have no idea about what market research means, especially for the products that actually they are producing.
I think you're absolutely right. The realities in the rural areas and the realities in the urban areas are completely different. The access to information, being able to implement that information, it's a big challenge. I definitely agree with you. I think, even understanding how people access information in rural areas. The internet's one, but it's also really through the community and through the family that people get a lot of this information as well. So it really has to be a lot of different sectors within the agriculture sector that come together, that try to look at a really comprehensive picture on how they can work together on these issues. We see gaps in capacity among individuals, but then we also see sometimes government are actually rolling out programs, which are good programs, but people are unable to access them. And how do different people help people in rural areas know that these programs exist, know how to access them? It's a major, major challenge.
Programs is one thing which is quite understandable because maybe they can always learn. But we understand that this talk has been around for a long time, that technology is the only way to transform this particular sector. But then if you look at technology, tailor it to the local person in the villages, how are they going to be able to understand it so that it benefits their farming? So how do we address this challenge? That we have innovations, but innovations the local people cannot actually understand. Which local people constitute about 98% of the farmers because they live in the villages. They're the people who need to know when is it going to rain, how do I get to know that? How do I use the phone to understand this information? How do we address that problem?
Yeah. I honestly do not have an answer for you. I think it's an excellent question. I completely agree with you that, how do people access these information? Because I think people are really running ahead and they're like, technology is the answer. This is a great thing.
So you think technology is not the answer?
It's not the only answer. It can't be the only answer.
So what do you think is the priority answer to that, to transforming the sector? It's not technology, then what is it?
I don't have the answer, but let me just speak to one thing that I think is important.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, people are talking about attracting young people to agriculture. But, of course, young people are going to be attracted if there's real money involved. That's just a reality. People want a good livelihood. And also, if you're looking at people living in rural areas, people want better infrastructure. It's not only about agriculture. It's about, are there good schools? Are there good hospitals? Are there good roads? Can I bring my produce to the market? So, I think this is a big issue everywhere. And are young people wanting to stay in rural areas? If not, why not? And what do they need? And I think really the first step is engaging with young people in a country, talking to them, saying, what do you need? What do you want? What do you envision your life to be? What are your aspirations? And then starting from there.
What do you need? What do you envision to be in agriculture? What are your aspirations? Let's ask the young person here.
Yeah, talking from a point of view, I think in order to get young people involved in agriculture, it's really it really needs more work to be done, even not only in the trainings and so on. I believe that it can be also be it can start from education. Like, people shy away from agriculture because they think it's, like she said, it's not really returning, it's a tiresome kind of work. Yeah. So because from nursery to university, what we know we should learn is sciences and so on, because we know we'll get some good money from them. So I believe that if the system could kind of improve from the
education,
from the education, and people also have a mindset that is kind of improved, so that they see agriculture as in any other thing they can go for, not because they have a lower grade at school, not like their last chance or their last choice, but because they know there's something good about it, they are passionate about it. So it's more of a system that should be improved in Africa, so that people could understand, also could take agriculture as seriously as other professions like sciences and so on, and also understand that through even if you have a background from any other sector, you can find a way to fit in agriculture. Yeah.
So now that's generally how to improve this sector. You as a farmer, do you want money? Do you want technology? Do you want this? What do you want?
Mainly, I need this mindset to be.
But yours is changed.
Yeah.
Now that it's
not
changed,
only mine.
what would you want?
Yeah, but the people I work with, and also the government, and also technical skills, because when you go in agriculture, mainly you don't have, especially when you don't have its background, you need to know more about it. So we need to have more technical or field kind of assistance, and also, of course, money. But it doesn't come when you have nothing. So, yeah.
Courtney, to add on what she said, the statistics that were released, I think last year, that only 2% of African youths, university students, enroll for agriculture courses. Is in your strategy and plan as an organization in partnership with the other rather NGOs like MasterCode, is this something you're incorporating in your strategy, that maybe they should be nurtured from when they are starting their education?
I think you're right. I think one of the things is the image of agriculture as young people grow up, bringing it into earlier education, and again, not the traditional agriculture, but the more modern version of agriculture. Another thing that we're aware about and working with other universities, tertiary level institutions about, is looking at, is agricultural curriculum relevant as well? So, I think young people aren't choosing to go into it, perhaps because it doesn't prepare them for the field. I mean, we're also finding that employers are also saying that the graduates coming out of the agricultural system do not meet their needs as well. Just for example, there's a university in the Netherlands called Wageningen, which is a famous agricultural university, and they've actually taken agriculture out of the names of all their programs because they found that young people weren't interested. So now they call it food science, and they call it life sciences, and all sorts of different ways to show what agriculture actually means, because agriculture is so much more than just the field. Because I think the perceptions still remain about agriculture, and just trying to rebrand a little to get people a bit more excited.
For you, what's the most interesting component you think that is so important? Some say data collection, others say research, because you cannot go out farming if you have no idea about whatever you're going to do. Even if students graduated out of the university, someone needs to do research in regards to what crops they're going to do, or what fertilizers they need for their crops. Having moved around for many years supporting the young agripreneurs, what's that one area or component you've realized that is actually so important in getting them to transform whatever they are doing in agriculture?
Well, I think actually Clarice made a really good point at the beginning, which was that she wanted the older people to transfer some of their knowledge to the younger people. And I think mentoring is a really key...
But the older people from agriculture are parents who were just doing it for...
Sure. So I mean, I think there's more information needed, but I do think that the knowledge transfer is also very important. But I think mentoring, where you really can pair a young person with an older person, but where they actually set their target and they say, this is what I want to do, and to be able to support them through that process where they can actually pursue their own dreams. To me, I think that's a really exciting way to be able to support young people in new and innovative ways that they identify themselves, and then support them through the process.
Clarissa, you got funding from some organization in regards to setting up your group. Does that mean you had a problem with access to finance in where you live? You couldn't get the loan?
Yeah, no. Of course, starting from the loan when your starter is kind of tricky. So we found a way to start with whatever we could, like compete in competitions, to have some kind of awards, and also have some kind of savings to start with the small amount we can, so that we be able to have a loan maybe when we are able to, like when we are sure we are sustainable, so that we don't get some kind of bankruptcy issues at the beginning.
So you were just scared to get a loan, in other words.
Yeah.
Now, most of the young agripreneurs you speak to will tell you, I have the idea, but I don't have the capital. I can't get a loan because I don't have something to put there. I can't access it. I don't have anything. I just need somewhere to start. And this is a very big challenge, access to finance. And I know you're doing a lot in terms of, do you also fund their projects?
No, not ourselves, no.
Okay, now let's talk about access to finance. How do we address that challenge? Especially because they're startups, they're young, they have literally nothing apart from the idea. Much as we are motivating them to go out and change their mindsets and enjoy the sector, how are they going to enjoy it if they don't have any single capital or guarantee to get a loan to be able to start the business?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that access to capital, when you're a young person, when you're inexperienced, you have no capital itself to actually bring to the bank, is a really difficult challenge. So our organization itself, we're a network. We don't directly look at access to finance for young people. But what we do try to do is sort of mobilize different people around that topic and see what some potential options are, or building the capacity of young people to be able to find that access to finance. But I think that's one of the biggest challenges facing young people.
When you say mobilize people or networks around to get them help them get the funding, what exactly do you mean?
So I mean, I just mean like seeing that this is one of the biggest issues in the sector. What do young people need specifically? What mechanisms do they think are most effective in being able to get that? But again, it's something that we absolutely do not have an answer to, and I think is a really key thing. So capacity to get more finance, but if the finance isn't there, you can build someone's capacity only so much, and if they still can't get the funding, then what? I really don't have an answer for you.
Well, we'll try to find probably some during the summit. Now, Clarissa is not a farmer, but she's adding value to farmers' products. How do we get young people to get into agribusiness, not just farming? Because most cases when you talk to them about agriculture, they think about going to the farm and getting their hands dirty. But in actual sense, it's very important to add value, especially for Africa, to their products, so that they can be able to export and also increase their revenues. How do we get them to understand, or to be able to understand that agriculture is not just about farming, and we get them to actually add value to what the farmers are producing?
So I think that one thing that we try to understand is that not everyone is an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a really specific individual that is brave and is able to go out there and take risks. I am not an entrepreneur, and I admire anyone who goes into doing that. But so I think understanding that a really small portion of the population is that type of person going forward. Then one of the things that YPARD tries to do is we try to showcase really successful but maybe even less successful pictures of young people within the agricultural sector, but just to show what the different possibilities are. So I think it really is about trying to get that message more into the mainstream media of what are the different possibilities in agriculture. It's not just smallholder farming. There's a huge, huge sector around that. And I think adding value is a really key one, both on farm and off farm. And looking, I mean, that's a business just like any other business. And I think we need to call it a business when we actually do that. So I think it's just more awareness about young people, how big a sector agriculture actually is.
For you, when you look at Africa right now, because I understand for Europe, the transformation has actually been massive. If you look at the numbers, if you read about that, but in Africa, we still have the huge. I don't know how to term it, but most of our land is not used, and we still see young people not coming out to get into this particular sector. But we also hear people telling us of how this is the only sector that can even change the African continent. Looking into the future, what do you think is the future of agriculture? What do you think? How do you, moving around to speak to these people, for you, what do you anticipate is going to happen in the near future?
Yeah, that's a really difficult question. I probably couldn't answer that, but I do think that the idea needs to come from the young people themselves. I just can't reiterate that strongly enough, that I think it really needs to be about young people giving a vision of what they want their future to be. So,
Courtney, if you say young people are going to drive this, young people need to be supported by the government. Young people need to be supported by, other factors. How are they going to drive this if they don't have any support?
No, I mean, so you're absolutely right. I think there needs to be an enabling environment. Sorry to use these terminologies, but I mean, there really needs to be the environment where there is the funding, where there is the policy, where there are all these pieces in place that enable young people with really good ideas to be able to take that forward. So, I mean, it's definitely a juggling act, and it's a lot of different pieces in place. But I think from what I see, I mean, I do think that there is a lot of potential, and there's just a lot of there's a lot of young people that are willing to take this forward, and that are really driven to take this forward. But again, I really see it as the young people determining what they want their future to be, and then everyone else supporting them, actually supporting them to realize that future.
We're going to move into the future without understanding what our challenges are. What do you think is the biggest challenge for you as an agripreneur that you're facing?
Yeah, the biggest challenge I face, like you said, we need support. Yeah, but we don't get it fully.
What exact support do you need?
We need capacity building kind of assistance, and also technical assistance, access to finance, all those stuff that can help us to build a more sustainable and professional kind of agribusiness. Yeah. So, but I believe also that young people are the ones to take action. If we could put our strength together, we could also influence those supports, the government. We could influence the change that we need to see.
Ladies, as we wind up, let me just take a step back to YPARD. I know it's all over the continent, but I just want us to talk about Africa in particular. Let's look at some of the plans that you have for us.
Sure. Well, honestly, Africa is the most dynamic of the continents that we work with, so it's really exciting. So for us, I think we're really interested in supporting mentoring. So supporting mentoring, but really country-driven mentoring. So we have some mentoring programs that we're starting to build, and one of the most interesting parts that we've seen is young people within their own countries taking that forward and changing it to what they think is important for young people. So for us, I think mentoring and supporting young people within our national chapters is definitely the way forward.
Looking at her challenges, are we looking forward to having YPARD somehow providing finance? What would you want to see?
Yeah, that would be great, but I believe that finance isn't the main of the assistance that we need. Yeah, because as we are young, we are so thirsty of getting money. So if we get that kind of assistance before we reach the point to have a good mindset of what we have to do with it, or a technical skill, enough technical skills, we will just blow that. So
you need research and training.
Yeah, we need more trainings and the education system to be improved so that we have this kind of know-how to use well the finance that we can be able to access.
What should we expect from the Young Africa Works Summit?
Well, yesterday, MasterCard Foundation and YPARD partnered to have a pre-summit training for the youth, and it really looked at conferencing skills, so getting young people engaged and ready for the conference. So how to challenge an idea, how to speak up, how to network. And we've seen some really amazing things coming out of the young people today, so I think we'll have a lot of young people speaking out in this event and really challenging some of the prevailing ideas, and I think it'll be really exciting.
Ladies, thank you so much for having time.
Thank you, too.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching our TV and for being part of the show. My name is Maggie Mutesi. Good night.